Thank you very much, Chairman. I appreciate you letting me be a part of this. And Secretary Kemp, I just want to say hello to you. It's always great to have some Georgians up here, and it's an honor to have you, sir. Thank you for participating. And all our witnesses today, thank you for being here. Secretary Kemp, let me just go with you. The broader question here, of course, that we are all concerned about, and well should be, is that of voter fraud, regardless of how it shows its face. Can you explain some of the steps that Georgia has taken, in particular, to prevent voter fraud across the board?
Well, thank you, Congressman. It's great to see you as well as Representative Carter. We have really done a lot. I know I've spoken a lot about our voting system not being connected to the internet. We've got all kind of policies and procedures about how we tie the number of votes on a specific machine that is counted with our paper tape inside the machine back to the signed voter verification of the voter when they come in the precinct. So I want to assure people that there is a way that we can tie that down. But we've also seen, and it hasn't really been talked a lot about here today, but you know, there's fraud that happens with paper ballots as well. We've seen it in many local jurisdictions with absentee ballots. We've had elections that have been overturned because of things of that nature, people manipulating the paper absentee ballot process in Georgia, especially in a local election, a municipal election where, you know, literally 5 to 10 votes could sway an election. But one of the things that we've done in Georgia, I think, besides having really good state laws and state election board rules on how the counties should handle the statewide voting system and training in that regard to protect the integrity of the election, we've also, as Commissioner Hice said earlier today, we've asked for the public's help, not only as poll workers or poll watchers, but we've got a Stop Voter Fraud hotline and an email that we monitor. Unlike some other jurisdictions across the country, we actually have a law enforcement division in the Secretary of State's office. Any complaint that we get, any complaint, it can be as something as serious as potential vote buying to something maybe as small as there's a handicap lift that wasn't working correctly at a precinct, or there's not enough parking, or there's long lines. We'll respond to every single one of those cases or look into those to see if it warrants an investigation. So we encourage Georgians that may see something improper, if they feel like their vote hasn't been cast properly, if somebody was manipulating them in a precinct, whatever it is, to report that to us. And we strategically put our investigators and inspectors around the state during the early voting advance period and on election day where we can respond very quickly. So we have a lot of ways that we try to stop voter fraud. But contrary to some people not believing it happens, it actually does. And when that does happen, we bring those individuals or counties, if they're not following the rules and procedures, to the state election board. And we have a due process that we go through. And we've actually had, you know, candidates that have paid heavy fines and have committed to never run for office again because of the actions that we've taken. So that's something, you know, and we treat every case the same, you know, when it comes to that.
What about specifically when it involves electronic voting machines? I'm sure there are glitches from time to time. When someone offers a complaint due to a machine, what's your process?
Well, as you can imagine, that's something that's high on our radar, so we'll send somebody out. I mean, if we have an equipment problem, there's a couple of actions we can take. We can send an investigator. We have emergency preparedness plans where, especially on big elections like we'll be having November the 8th, where we've coordinated with State Patrol and Department of Public Safety to have a helicopter and a trooper at the Kennesaw State Election Center. So let's say we have a server go out, which we had happen in a county. You know, if you don't get on that quickly and the results don't come in quickly, then the public starts to ask the question, why is that happening? So we now have the ability to either fly or drive with a law enforcement official equipment, or if we've had times where we've had a failure with a voting equipment. We've had to send a technician out there to help maybe get a memory card out of there, something of that nature. So there's a lot of steps that we take to investigate, also before the election to prevent those things happening, but also to make sure public confidence stays intact by responding quickly to those type things.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back, and Mr. Secretary, thank you. Always great to see you.
I'd like to now recognize my friend and the congressman from the great